Alrighty, for the second video this week, we are going to be doing under valve cover harnesses. This is going to be an OBS to Super Duty conversion. This is a Super Duty valve cover harness kit. I got it from Riff Raff. They're pretty spendy for the two valve covers, and for the harnesses it's like $450. That is for motorcraft, everything. People say Dorman's pretty good too, but I don't want to do this again in 15,000 miles. So I've done everything else under there. I have new injectors, new glow plugs. The only thing that I haven't done is this valve cover in the harness, so we're going to be doing that. These have a little heavier connectors, pins, if you can see that, than the OBS one does from the factory. So we're going to be going with that. And then also there's just one connector instead of two. The OBS has two connectors, so that's the only difference. You'll have to wire that in. I'm going to take the complete wiring harness off the Pick'em and then probably do it right here, just so I don't have to be leaning over the hood when I'm getting that done. The reason I'm doing it is because last week when I was going to get the seats from the past video, my pickup, twice it just kind of, the check engine light flashed and then went away, and then it coasted. So it was like I don't know, I just lost power, and like for half a mile there I was driving without power. So then I would start to pick it back up. It was perfectly fine. So from all the forums I've read and the videos I've watched, they say you might have like a lazy injector because one of these wires, or also it can be your CPS, which I got another one of those. Yeah, also Motorcraft, part number DU87 from Riff Raff. The other one I have in there, the pickup still runs, so I'm going to keep the other one and just put it in the glove box just in case of emergency. Hopefully I don't need it. Hopefully that's a permanent solution, or at least for a long time. But anyway, yeah, so that's what we're going to be doing. We got to take the valve covers off. I've had them off 2 or 3 times before, so it's pretty straightforward. Just there's a couple bolts in the back there that are kind of hard to get at, but other than that, I'm going to take that off, get the wiring harness, bring it in here, and use a schematic I found to wire all of the 2 connectors just into one with the harnesses that I got here. Let's see. These aren't Motorcraft, these are Alliant, I think that's all they had. Yeah, Alliant Power. They seem like they're pretty heavy duty gauge wiring. Pretty straightforward. The outside 4 are your glow plugs. Then there's a constant ground in the black and yellow. And then the other 4 here are obviously your injectors. So there's 9 wires. There's going to be 10 coming from your existing pigtails. So splice the 2 pigtails into one, and then you just have one connector to worry about. And everything's new, Motorcraft, so that's kind of my plan. I'm hoping that fixes whatever issue that was. If not, at least I have peace of mind to know everything under my valve covers is new. So that's what the video is about. First thing you want to do is just start taking everything apart. Get that off the top here. Get your intake off so you get that out of the way, and then other than that, it's pretty opened up. You can see the valve cover bolts are just on the top row there, bottom row there's one back in the corner. I usually take this off to get to it, and then on this side take this bracket off that holds your intake, and then other than that they're pretty accessible too. So all right, I got the passenger side, driver's side off here. Just taking a quick look at all the wires. Everything looks to be pretty good. I don't see any major exposed wire or anything like that. I do think this is a Motorcraft gasket because of the 2-part connector here. Either way, it's in pretty good shape, which is good. I don't want to find a bunch of issues under there. So everything does look good. Looks pretty clean. So anyway, got that side off. Gonna do the other side. The connectors themselves definitely need to be redone. They're covered in oil. They're old. I do think that's the original harness. I don't know if these are the original gaskets. being that they're in pretty good shape, I'd say no, but I didn't put them on, so who knows. Onto the passenger side. All right, I got the driver's side, passenger side off here. On inspection, I don't see any exposed wires on this side either, so that's a good sign. Gasket itself looks to be in pretty good shape. There's some pinches here and there, but I didn't have any oil leaks out of my gasket, so that is a plus. I know it's fairly common. But anyway, I'm gonna take the main harness off now and take it inside and do my wiring. And I'll show you how to do that. 2 words of advice here. First, when you're taking this main harness off, make sure you take pictures, because you have wires going to your glow plug relay, going over to your main, I can't remember what that thing's called, but anyway, it gives power from the battery. And then all these different, like your ICP sensor and all these other sensors. So just make sure you take pictures so you kind of know where everything's at once you get it all rewired. And then my second word of advice is, if you're working on these, go get your wife some new floor mats for the kitchen and use the old one, because it's great. I've been kneeling on it, and it kind of sucks leaning over this thing. So if you do that, it makes it a lot more comfortable. Plus, the wife's happy. If you ever want to get the feeling that you're in way over your head, just go ahead and take this off. Because, let's see here, as you saw in the last video, I don't really like wiring that much, but here we are. So we're gonna basically strip this down. Right here, here's the 2 plugs for the driver's side, and wire in the Super Duty single plug. And then we'll do the same over here. Getting the harness off isn't too bad. There's just a lot of stuff going everywhere. I took pictures. I probably could have, put some electrical tape and marked everything, but I think with the pictures, I'll be able to get them back to where they go. So I guess hopefully anyway. When you're taking this apart, there's gonna be like a tin foil wrap around your injector wires. Make sure you keep that, and you also keep this wire wrap that goes around the length of it as well. The schematic I used for the wiring diagram was one I found on Power Stroke Nation. I actually had a little bit of a mistake. I read the schematic, screenshotted it, and then followed it in my wiring. And when I went to start the pickup, I had a no start. So I went back to the forum and I read it, and it said, like a little ways down the forum, it said actually that was the wrong schematic, that the wires just needed to be flipped on the other side. So it's still a great schematic. I really appreciate the forum for it and everything, but I did adjust mine, the one that I'm going to put into the video, so that it has it right. So that's the way I'm going to do that. And then if you want to screenshot it, go for it. It's not my work anyway. The schematic is by somebody named 410 Customs on Power Stroke Nation, and made it really easy to read. I just couldn't download theirs. For some reason, it wouldn't work on my phone or my laptop, so I just went ahead and screenshotted it, and then fixed it with like an editing tool on my phone. So all right, I've started making the connections. Well, not the connections, but I've started to put the connectors on the new end here. I'm using these heat shrink butt connectors. I mean, it's not as good as soldering, but for what they are, I have this nice crimper tool for them, and they do pretty good. You know, they feel strong and everything, so they seem to work for everything I do. If you can solder, I would probably solder. I can do it, I just don't have my soldering equipment right now, so this is how I'm doing it. In furtherance of what I was just saying, for these connectors, I did the glow plug connectors because they're the heavier gauge brown wires. I did the blue connectors, which are for a heavier gauge wire. I also did that for the ground, which is this black wire with yellow wrapped around it. And then for the injector wires, I did pink. So easy to just distinguish that way. And also because these are thinner wires, so it works out. Okay, as you get ready to wire the old connectors here, the browns all go together. Those are your glow plugs. Like I said, it doesn't really matter which brown goes to which brown. It's easiest though if you just keep these two on the new connector with the two that went to the old, and then do the same over there, those two browns with these two browns. So I'm going to make those connections. You want to keep your glow plug wires separate from your injector wires, so make sure you have, like after I made these two connections, I heat shrink them and then I wrap tape around them. So that's what I'm doing down here as well. And then these ones, all your injector wires will be re-wrapped with the tin foil and the wire, because that keeps them separate from everything. Right, kid? On this side, the glow plug wires are yellow, not brown, so correction there. On the other side, on the passenger side, they're brown. Driver's side, they're yellow. They still go to the brown wires on your plug. So on the schematic here, I don't know if you can see it, over here, that's the new harness. These are obviously the old harnesses, and then like front of truck, back of truck, or vice versa. I can't really tell from looking from that angle. But so like this next harness has brown wire. So if you go here, let's just say for the ground, it says OR for orange. You just trace that over right here to the middle wire, and that's your common ground. So that's just an example, but that's how they all work. You just trace it from the plug to the color and then make the connection. It's pretty straightforward. The harness has piqued the interest of Monty, which isn't good. He will yank it right off the table. Okay, I got all the connections made, so now we're going to separate your ground and your four injector wires, and then you're going to take your tin foil, tape, whatever you want to call it, and rewrap those wires. I don't know how well you guys can see that. So your four injector wires separated from the four glow plug wires. Just wrap those. Oh, that was good. Okay, so there you go. There's your connector. Now you take a new stretch of wire loom. Figure out how long you need it. Like that, it looks like. See if my very, very dull knife can cut it. Alright, I got it all back together. I do like how there's just the one connector. I think it opens it up and there's less wires going everywhere. Haven't started it yet because I broke the glow plug relay, taking it apart, so I'm gonna go get a new one real quick. Other than that, it's good to go. Putting the valve covers back on is always a blast, but got it done. It's going now. Fire it up for you so you can hear it. I think it looks a lot cleaner under there. Pretty happy with it, so